You are not into fragrances unless you have smelled these 10 out of 10 masterpieces. I first smelled all these 10 fragrances in my first year of collecting and they blew my mind. But do I still wear them today? And have you smelled them? Let's find out. I'm sure many of you can relate to this. When you're starting your fragrance journey or when you're starting collecting, it's very easy for your mind to get blown because you're smelling all these weird and wonderful new scent profiles, fragrance DNAs that you've never smelled before, and your brain's sort of struggling to deal with them, and your mind kind of gets blown. But as the years go by and we smell more and more fragrances, we start to recognize that there's a limited amount of fragrance DNAs, or there's a lot of things that do smell similar. And it's much harder as you get deep into this hobby for your mind to get blown. Almost a decade of doing this and my mind doesn't get blown very often. But that's kind of a good thing because when it does, I know I've smelled something I really love. So let's see if these 10 fragrances still blow my mind and let's see if I still wear them. The first fragrance is from Zoologologist Camel. I smelled the whole Zoologist line and Camel was my absolute favorite, so I purchased a bottle. I think I got this from Bloom Perfumery about 9 years ago. Dates, dried fruits, and a lot of incense. You know, I smell this fragrance and many of them I'm talking about in this video, and it just takes me back to almost a decade ago when I first smelled it. This one definitely blew my mind. It's a really unusual fragrance, very unique, and I still think this smells fantastic. I think it is an amazing composition, but the thing is with this, it's that unusual that I've struggled over the years to choose when is appropriate to wear this fragrance. I feel like in my life, I'm not in many situations where I feel like I can justify wearing something that is so unusual. I'm sad to say, I don't wear it. I know that's a crime, but there's a few of these in this video that I'm committing the same crime. So sorry about that, Zoologist, and it is a great scent. I just have not worn it for a long time. Similar thing with this fragrance from Serge Lutton, it's Shuggy. Pretty complex fragrance. There's tobacco leaf, there's honey, hay, incense, musk, iris, and rose. Again, I feel bad about this because I do think it is an amazing fragrance. It's just a little unusual to wear that often, and again it just sort of got left behind. I've actually got another bottle of this. This is my second bottle. I know this is the old design, but I did purchase a partial years ago and I've got about half of that one left. So I did wear it when I first bought it. I can't actually find that bottle, but I do have this backup bottle. Not that I really need it because it's a fragrance that I just don't reach for very often. I just don't encounter many situations where I think Shuggy is a good fit for me. It's a bit sad, but it's the sad reality. Next up, a stunning vanilla fragrance from Imaginary Authors, Memoirs of a Trespasser. Yeah, this is a great vanilla fragrance. It definitely has that creaminess, but there's more going on. It's quite a resinous scent. I'm down about half of this bottle. I was wearing it a lot when I first bought it, and occasionally, I do still wear it, but I feel like there are fragrances with vanilla, with resins, with incense that I would reach for more often than this. I've become a big fan of Amouage over the last few years. If I'm in that incensey vanilla mood, I'll probably go for something more like Purpose 50 from Amouage. So this one's kind of got left behind and replaced by newer, sexier models. But I do still think this is great, and every now and then I will spray this one. It's a good scent. If you love vanilla and you're into fragrances, you should smell this. We're getting into the territory of fragrances that I do wear more often now, and this is a masterpiece. I've called it a masterpiece for years now, from one of my favorite niche brands, Nascimato Pardon. It's got a bit of an oudy accord. It's definitely not an animalic oud. There's some chocolatey patchouli. In fact, it's quite a heavy patchouli fragrance. This fragrance has been my vibe for years now. From the first moment I smelled it, it just smelled so interesting and exciting and wearable. That's the key. It's definitely a statement-making, head-turning fragrance, but it's not so unique and unusual that I would struggle to find occasions to wear this. I can wear this casually, I can wear it for formal occasions. I do still give this some wearings, but because it is so beloved to me, it is one that I do save, I guess, for more special occasions. But yeah, I do still wear this. I still think it's a 10 out of 10. If you've not smelled Pardon and you're into fragrances, rectify that immediately. It's a banger. I think Killian's a great brand. I love many of their fragrances, mainly because they do a lot of boozy fragrances. I quite like a boozy fragrance. This is one of the best of them. Blew my mind when I first smelled it. Black Phantom. It's a sweet gourmand fragrance. It's very deep and sugary and decadent. Kind of smells a little bit like a dessert. There's like a burnt brown sugar, there's caramel, coffee. I'm addicted to this fragrance. There's so much about it that I love. For me, I tend to wear this in the winter. I actually gave it a few wearings through this winter that we've just had, and I absolutely loved it. Every time I wear it, I'm so pleased that I've chosen to wear it that day. I get wrapped up in winter clothing, that cold winter air. This cuts through it because it's so rich and sweet and heavy. I love this. When I first started this channel, one of the first fragrances that I had to buy was the most hyped fragrance at the time, Aventus. Yeah, I couldn't afford to buy a bottle of this, even though it was cheaper 9 or so years ago. Still couldn't justify what this cost back then. So I got a good price of a partial of this on a Facebook group. I think it's a 2016 batch. I think I paid about £70 and the bottle was 3/4 full at the time. I mean, we all know the story with Aventus. It's been overdone, it's been overcloned, it's been overhyped. Lots of people wear it. You can get much cheaper versions, whether it's a dupe or a sneaky dupe by a brand that isn't claiming it's a dupe but has blatantly copied this sort of scent profile. Unfortunately, Aventus these days comes with a bit of baggage, but if we strip all that baggage away, it's still a great fragrance. I thought it was amazing when I first smelled it. It blew my mind at the time. I hadn't smelled anything like it. It was super hyped, so it could have been a letdown, but it wasn't for me. With this, the hype was justified, and of course, I still wear Aventus. Have you smelled Aventus? Are you into fragrances? Hang on a minute. If you're into fragrances and you've not smelled Aventus, sorry, you're not into fragrances. Something happened to me in that first year of fragrance collecting, and that was me realizing that I had a great love for the note of tobacco. I don't think tobacco on its own is a note that I would just wear, but often tobacco combined with sweeter notes like maybe vanilla and honey just seem to hit the spot for me. And one fragrance that probably hits the bullseye, hits that spot harder than any other tobacco fragrance is Knackos from Xerjoff. This does that honeyed sweet pipe cherry tobacco so beautifully, but there's also other things that make this fragrance more wearable, more versatile. It's got some bergamot, some citrus in the top, so actually you can wear this all year round. Xerjoff are a great brand. This is the only fragrance that I own. There are others that I really love, that I really enjoy, but as amazing as some of the Xerjoffs are, I don't think any of them have yet toppled Knackos from its Xerjoff throne. 10 out of 10. Of course, I still wear it. A brand that was getting a lot of hype when I first started this channel was Parfum de Marly, and the fragrance I smelled first because it was new at the time. I just started this channel, so I remember buying a little sample first. Carlisle. Carlisle is a fruity, slightly sweet, creamy, very woody fragrance, and it is one of the strongest fragrances I own. Such a sweet, addictive smell, but not cloyingly sweet. It's so strong, so it turns heads. I've had many compliments and comments on this fragrance over the years. I love how this is so strong, so beast mode, but without being a blunt instrument. And I think that is when a fragrance has been perfectly composed. If you can have that strength, but still have some refinement and elegance, that's what Carlisle does. And for that reason, it's still a 10 out of 10 fragrance, and I'll never stop wearing it. And I do, I wear it a lot. Straight away, when I started this channel, a brand that I immediately dived into, probably because I smelled this one the first, I thought, well, if they're all this good, this is a brand that I will certainly love. The first fragrance from Roger Parfums I ever smelled was Enigma. Oh boy, this is a good one. Still my favorite fragrance. I love the cognac booziness. There's a sweet, creamy vanilla aspect. Very indulgent, very sophisticated. You know, they don't make this version of Enigma anymore. This is the Eau de Parfum. They still make the Parfum, and they still make the Parfum Cologne, which is a lighter, brighter version. I now have all versions of Enigma. In fact, I've got multiple bottles of the other versions, and I will often go for that fragrance on a special occasion. And if I'm wearing it for a special occasion, kind of gotta go for the Parfum. Or if I want a more wearable, casual, maybe daytime version of Enigma, I'll go for the Parfum Cologne. So this EDP version, I just don't really ever reach for. I don't actually know if there's that much difference between this and the Parfum. I think if there is a difference, it's probably a pretty small difference because they pretty much smell the same to me. But if I have the Parfum there in the bottle, then that's kind of the one that I tend to go for. So EDP, it's still a 10 out of 10. It's still a mind-blowing fragrance. I do still wear Enigma from time to time, not an everyday wear. It's a special occasion scent, maybe a couple of times a year at this point, but it's not the EDP that I go for. If you like 'em boozy, if you're into fragrances and you've not smelled Enigma, please get your nose on it, try the Parfum version, try the Parfum Cologne, because I think it's one of the best fragrances ever made. I've already mentioned Amouage. This was the first Amouage fragrance that I purchased, and I was so thrilled with this when I purchased it. I loved it back then, I still love it now. Reflection Man. To me, this is creamy sandalwood, some beautiful white florals, kind of along the lines of that sweet masculine fragrance like Yope or Jean Paul Gaultier's La Malle, the original, but just a higher quality, more sophisticated, stronger version of those scents. I think I did wear this quite recently, maybe 6, maybe 8 months ago, but that was the first time I'd worn it in a while. But you can see it has had a fair bit of wear. When I first bought this, I wore it a lot, and that's because it's such a versatile, wearable fragrance. It works for special occasions, it works for evenings and nights out, it works as an easygoing, casual daytime scent. The reason I haven't worn this much recently is because of another fragrance that has 45 in the name. Reflection 45 is the younger brother to this. It's the stronger version, it's the more impactful version. It's got a bit of extra earthiness, bit of extra backbone, which to me makes it more impactful than this and just turns it into this amazing, head-turning, incredible fragrance. You know out there, if you've watched my channel for a while, that I adore Reflection 45. That's the one I reach for. If I'm going for a Reflection Man, sometimes my hand will go towards Reflection Man Original. I think I've not worn it in a minute, shall I go for this? And then at the last second it goes, no, I've got to go for 45. It's hard for me to pass up a wear of 45. So if I'm in a Reflection Man mood, Reflection 45 is the one I go for, but this is still incredible. It is a little easier to wear. If you're getting into niche fragrances, if you haven't smelled any of the Reflection Mans, I'd say start with this one. Make friends with this first, and then maybe if you decide you do really get into fragrances, Reflection 45 will be on your hit list, trust me. All right, how many of those have you smelled? And if you've not smelled all of them, I think you need to be questioning, are you really into fragrances? No, of course, I'm just messing, but I do really think you should try and smell them if you haven't already. And if you haven't smelled these fragrances, I know you're still into fragrances. I'm just kind of joking with you. But seriously, if you're into fragrances, get them sniffed. That's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed this little walk down memory lane. Honestly, these are all fantastic fragrances, so please try and smell them if you haven't already. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. It really helps. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.